Meanwhile, the U.S. House of Representatives has overwhelmingly approved a resolution that, quote, steadfastly, staunchly, proudly, and fervently, end quote, supports Ukraine. Oh, glory. There you go, Miss Ustinova. You have a resolution. Wave that in Putin's face. But you know what? 3 filthy, traitorous scum in the United States House of Representatives, 3 fascist Christians voted in favor of Putin. Paul Gosar, that sick son of a bitch from Arizona, who is a fascist. He wants to see the United States destroyed. Thomas Massey of Kentucky, a fascist who wants to see the United States destroyed. Matt Rosendale of Montana, a fascist who wants to see the United States destroyed. These 3 Putin lovers, Trump lovers, supporters of fascism prevented the vote in the U.S. House from being unanimous. And you can bet your ass that some of the other fascist Christians in the U.S. House who voted for this resolution did so with a smirk on their face because they're only thinking about their reelection. They don't give a fuck about what happens in Ukraine. Dead children? Hey, it's time for lunch. And some of these people in the U.S. House said yesterday that history is watching the way the world responds as Ukrainians fight to save their Western-style democracy from invasion by Russia. But these fascist Christians have no use for Western-style democracy. If they did, they wouldn't be fascist Christians. They might be church-going Christians, but that's not what these fuckers are. A lot of the people in Congress, mostly Democrats, maybe I'm sure a few so-called self-identified Republicans, said more has got to be done to help Ukraine and stop this murderous fuck Putin, his ability to wage war. I'll say it again. Somebody like they tried in Germany to off Hitler. The military, members of the high command, tried to kill him. And the result of that, of course, was the execution of all who were involved, even peripherally, in the plot against that murderous son of a bitch. Something like that has to happen, only it has to succeed. Putin must fucking die. That's the only thing that's going to stop this. Do you not understand that? Oh, there's one other thing. Full-out nuclear war. Or kill Putin. Oh, and Lindsey Graham cracker over on the Senate side introduced a resolution that would back Ukraine's claim in international court that Putin and the scum around him have committed war crimes. Oh, way to go, Graham cracker. Oh, gee. A resolution in the Senate. Ooh, Putin is committing war crimes. Ooh. Do you know what that means to Putin? About as much as the piece of paper it's written on. In other words, not a goddamn thing. Nothing. Nothing. And Gregory Meeks, a Democrat in New York, the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, he said during a House floor debate, quote, the camera of history is rolling on all of us today, end quote. Do you think anybody in the U.S. House and Senate and the Christian Fascist Party or the remaining self-identified Republicans and a number of Democrats, you think they give a fuck about the Ukrainian people? If you do, you're kidding yourself. Now, there are a lot of Democrats who do care. I'm sure there's a handful of Republicans who somewhere deep down in their rotting souls, they care. Deep down. But what's being done? What's being done? And it was Meeks, who's in the House, U.S. House, who wanted the entire House to provide a unanimous vote to show, quote, whether or not we stood up and stood out to protect freedom, end quote. And then during the vote, these three pieces of shit, Paul Gosar of Arizona, Thomas Massey of Kentucky, and Matt Rosendale of Montana, voted to side with Putin. Just like the Nazis in the House and the Senate back in the 30s voted to side with Hitler. What is it about the United States that fascism is just a millimeter below the surface here? And these resolutions came after this big display, I'm sure you saw it, of the blue and yellow colors of the Ukraine flag that were on display in the House chamber for Biden's State of the Union speech Tuesday night. Huh? And that's being seen as a display of bipartisan common ground for the often divided Congress. That's how the Associated Press puts it. Bipartisan common ground. Because what the fuck are they risking when they wear their little yellow and blue adornments? What are they risking? Not a goddamn thing. And who are they displaying that for? The U.S. ambassador from Ukraine who is sitting in the gallery. Oh, look, we're all wearing the colors of your flag. Oh, la-di fucking da, huh? Meanwhile, the Ukrainian people, men, women, children, old, young, are being butchered by Vladimir Putin. Some of these members of Congress are warning that the war is taking an ominous turn because Russian troops have encircled Kyiv. By the time you hear this, they may have begun their attack, their slaughter in Kyiv and other major Ukraine cities. And citizens are taking up arms. You've seen the video, trying to stop this madness. People with fucking rifles, and in some cases, nothing, going up against one of the most vicious, violent, hideously equipped armies on the planet. The U.S. House stands steadfastly, staunchly, proudly, and fervently behind the Ukrainian people. Yeah, behind them. And then this filthy Nazi fuck, Paul Gosar, the one who voted for Putin, he tweeted, after he got some criticism about what he did, he tweeted, quote, "Talk to me when our border is secure." What the fuck? He's talking about the U.S.-Mexican border, of course. Spewing shit that came right out of Donald Trump's ass. And there he is talking about it. Mr. Gosar, you violent prick, you. Oh, my God. And in a similar vein, this asshole Rosendale of Montana, this fuck proposed banning aid to Ukraine in any form until the U.S.-Mexico border is secured. And these son of a bitches have been elected, and they will probably be reelected. And Massey, that asshole from Kentucky, said he had a few concerns with the resolution that the rest of the House passed. He said its call for additional and immediate, quote, defensive security assistance, end quote, could include American boots on the ground or U.S. enforcement of a no-fly zone. And this miserable fucker will have none of that. The Senate, however, approved a similar measure unanimously in support of Ukraine in February, a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. And then Lindsey Graham-Cracker said yesterday that he's introducing a new resolution. Yes, I've got a million of them, to hold Putin and those around him accountable for the assault on Ukraine in the international courts. Oh, yeah, that'll work. Graham Cracker said yesterday in a press conference at the Capitol, quote, enough of the murder, enough of the destruction and carnage. The world has let him get away with too much for too long. Who are you talking about, Graham Cracker? Putin or Trump? Now, as you know, Graham Cracker is a former military lawyer. He worked for the Judge Advocate General's office, I believe. And he has introduced a measure that would back Ukraine's claim of war crimes being committed by Putin. And Graham Cracker was joined by Ukraine-born Representative Victoria Spartz, a Republican of Indiana, who has spoken passionately in favor of a U.S. role in saving her country. Okay, Representative Spartz, what good, truly, do you think your resolution will do? What effect will it have on the fascist son of a bitch who should be shot dead, Vladimir Putin, huh? Many members of Congress are still wanting Biden to cut off Russian oil exports to the United States as a way to destroy Putin's economy and deprive him of resources. I mean, this is happening now. This is where capitalism is so fucking violent and anti-human and pro-death and pro-destruction. Because even as this miserable gangster fucking fascist Putin is ordering the slaughter of innocent people and the bombing like he did in Aleppo when they laid Aleppo out in its own grave, an ancient city, one of the oldest cities in the Middle East, older than the Christian Bible. And Grozny in Chechnya, how did the Russians handle that? Carpet bombing, street by street, apartment block by apartment block, until there was nothing left but smoking rubble. And what are we doing? What are we doing? Nothing. Nothing of any substance. These sanctions, how long are they going to last? I would hope that somewhere in the upper circles of Russia's military or economic areas that people are now talking about when and where to grab this balding fucker by his throat and drag him into the streets, Putin, and hang him, just hang him from a goddamn lamppost like they did with Mussolini's corpse. Hang him. How long? What's it going to take? Just like the Ukrainian parliament member asked, what is it going to take? What does this Putin monster need to do before the Western world makes it stop? What? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.